It's made me feel calmer, more centered, and just I've become a really positive person, and it just does everything for you. It improves your physical health, your emotional and mental health. It's just, it's obvious to me now after seeing all these testimonies that it really is true. This is how human beings are meant to eat.
Yes.
And that's why I said I am never going back to a standard American diet.
That's one thing I've been teaching my girls is it's like just gaining a tiny bit more wisdom in life is like one of the most important things we can do and often overlooked, because your life ends up being a kind of a result of all the decisions you make. And I really appreciate all of your wisdom you shared. I think you're going to inspire a lot of people.
So they did a biopsy and they said, well, yeah, you have prostate cancer. And
hello, Carrie here. Special guest, Jack. Jack, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Carrie.
Could you tell me a little bit about your background and your background with carnivore diet?
Well, my personal background is I'm an entrepreneur. I have been, for a long time. I'm still of the entrepreneur mind, much like yourself. And before we go any further, I just wanted to say, if I may, I would like to give a shout out to our friend Bill in Alaska. Bill, if you're listening, you can do this. There's a whole world out there waiting for you, buddy, and you can do it.
Yes, that's wonderful. It's so amazing, the support from the carnivore community. Everyone is behind you, Bill, and he knows that too now, which is great. He was tearing up a little bit saying this is amazing. But
yeah, I think it's great, and Bill, you can do it.
Come on, Bill. Bill, you can do this. Do it, Bill. Do it. You got this.
I know it. There's just literally, I have no idea, thousands upon thousands of people who have done carnivore and have lost weight and improved their health tremendously. So I'm excited for him. This is a real adventure waiting for him. As far as my carnivore thing is concerned, I started really getting interested in this from watching somebody we saw yesterday, and that's Dr. Barry. And he's great. He explains everything in layman terms, street terms even, and makes it so easy to understand why this is so important and why we should be eating the proper human diet.
Yeah, he's the best.
It's been almost 3 years now that I had a PSA test, which is it's a prostate test, and my numbers were very high. That you shouldn't be any higher than 4, and mine was 300. So
wow.
They did a biopsy and they said, well, yeah, you have prostate cancer, and so they put me on a medicine called Lupron, which is, it's the chemical version of being, I'm looking for a euphemistic word for this, but I can't. Well, let's just say this. It takes away a man's testosterone. And it has consequences that it causes extreme fatigue and weight gain. And so I started growing out of my clothes. I had to buy new clothes because I couldn't, even my belt, I had to change belts and everything else. So I started, looking at these things, and it took me a long time before I really felt serious about it, because, when you tell somebody, just eat meat and no vegetables, you might as well tell me to breathe underwater. That's how it felt to me. It's like, well, this is ludicrous, but after seeing actual testimonies and hearing serious talks from medical doctors who are really hip and up to speed. It convinced me. It took a long time, but it convinced me. My only regret is that I should have transitioned slowly. Like your wife Jen is doing the same thing that I did, and I believe me, Jen, if you're listening, I know what it's like, because keto flu is terrible. I mean, you just have no energy. You feel horrible for a while, and then at some point you're going to say, oh, today I feel better, and from there on, it just goes up and up and up. Your energy improves like higher than it's ever been before. Now I'm doing push-ups and sit-ups and taking walks, and I book. I don't just somber along, putting one foot in front of the other. I move quickly, and I don't feel or look like a man 78 years old.
Right. Wow.
So I just think that it's really, when you get right down to it, I think carnivore it's a lifesaver. It really is.
So it was 3 years ago that you were diagnosed with the cancer?
Yes.
Did you do the treatment they suggested, or did you just go right into carnivore after the cancer diagnosis?
I didn't go right into carnivore. As I said earlier, it took me a while to feel convinced, because I thought, well, this could be a bad thing. And I talked to a few doctors about it, and they're saying, no, that's not good. And so, you need to be listening to the right doctor. That's an important thing right there, because, locally, most doctors, they're going to pretty much have negative things to say about an all meat diet. So, I also had radiation therapy too. So, every day I'd have to go to the radiology department and get a radiation treatment, and that wasn't fun. And it had some problems too. I mean, there's side effects to all of this stuff, but ultimately, after 2 years of therapy, they got me down to 0 from 300. They got me down to 0. They did PET scans before that, and they said, well, we can't understand this. We expected to find metastasis, all over your body, and you don't have any. And so, this is before carnivore. So I got lucky there. So now it's a matter of maintenance. Apparently it still may stay with me. I don't know. Nobody's using the word remission or anything, but I feel great. I feel absolutely great, better than I have in years.
And you'd think it would be the opposite, going through what you went through and the radiation and everything that had to take a toll on you. So are you thinking that that's carnivore is really, like, what if you hadn't found carnivore? How would you be feeling, do you think?
I think I would be feeling tired, probably listless, and pretty much a couch potato. But I'm involved in a bunch of different projects now. I'm an audiophile, and I'm building some subwoofers, and some different things like that. And I just like to, I like to keep my hand in, keep busy.
Right.
So it's been a long, fun life up until, until the cancer thing came along. But I used to work 7 days a week and so forth. I've owned several different businesses. I have a background in electronics, and so I've published some articles with the now defunct Popular Electronics and so forth, designing circuitries that has to do with audiophile people. So I'm very interested in life. I mean, a lot of people just take it for granted, but hey, I woke up today. Yeah, I felt great, and it's a celebration.
Yeah. It's so nice hearing you say that, because I feel the same way too. But before this, it wasn't that way. Jack, before this, if someone would say to me like, "Oh, how are you doing?" I'd be like, I don't know. Sometimes you'd be nice and be like, "Great." But now someone asks me, and the genuine, honest answer is, "I'm doing great. I'm doing wonderful." It sounds like that's kind of the same thing for you, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that before.
Well, I've watched many of your videos. I haven't watched all of them yet, but I've watched many of them, and of course I saw your video yesterday. Well, I'm saying yesterday, but I don't know. That's going to be, it'll be confusing for people. But well, anyhow, I saw your talk with Dr. Berry, and people coming in on streaming with different questions that they had for him, and that was a very, very interesting show, and I really enjoyed it so much. And also the one with Dr. Sean Baker was great too.
Thank you. Yeah, it was funny. I didn't know when Dr. Baker's would come out, because we filmed that one maybe 2 weeks ago. So that one came out, and then the Dr. Berry one, I think it was the same day. Dr. Berry was live on my channel. Yeah. But I was just so happy to talk to Dr. Berry, just because I really, without him and Dr. Baker and some of these other doctors, I was like you. It's like you said earlier, this is insane. This is crazy. You can't just eat meat. But then, and Dr. Berry, such just truthful and common sense. Every time I watch one of the videos, even his bacon video, I was like, this is a doctor telling us to eat bacon. This is insane. This guy's like a scam artist. And then you watch the whole video and you're like, huh, that's just common sense. It makes perfect sense. He just does such a good job. But I was so excited that he's on board with the carnivore diet documentary. That was the big thing. You being an audiophile guy, it must have been frustrating. The first couple of minutes or so, we had some audio issues. And I was so terrified that was on my end. And I had actually set up a new microphone because my other one was giving me issues. So I thought that was my end. But it turns out it was Dr. Berry accidentally had 2 windows open. So luckily we were able to get to the someone left a comment. Thankfully, they left a comment. They're like, I think Dr. Berry has 2 windows open. And that solved the whole problem, thankfully. It would have been unfortunate to do the whole part. Right. Yeah. Would have been sad to do the whole video like that, because I was starting to hear Dr. Berry's echo and I muted myself. I'm like, it's not there. But anyways, yeah, thank you for that and for watching the channel. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun so far. But yeah, so this is just so interesting to me that at 78 you're doing carnivore. So how long has it been that you're carnivore?
I started around just after the first of the year. So we're well into 7 months.
Wow. Okay.
And, I still have a ways to go before I consider myself, completely adapted. I think that takes some time, for your body to really, get into the groove of things, like probably by maybe the first year or something like that, But one thing I do know is I am never going back to a standard American diet.
Mm.
I thought, I loved pies and cakes and cookies and all that. I thought I was going to have a craving, and I don't miss it. Mm-hmm. I don't miss it at all. I was the kind of a guy, like on holidays, I go to my daughter's house and have, turkey and so forth, and piece of cherry pie and a piece of apple and all this. And then my daughter would come over and she'd say, Dad, you want another piece of pie? And I'd say, no, I want the rest of the pie. And I wasn't joking.
Right. Yeah. You sound like me. That was me too. I couldn't have a little sugar in moderation. Sometimes I'd say too, just give me the one piece of pie, but then I'd end up eating the whole thing.
Carrie, I am very, very careful about what I put in my body now. I don't use ketchup. Once in a while mustard, but I'm pretty sure that mustard does not have any sugar or anything like that in it. So, the closest thing I could come to any type of sugar is a little bit of cheese, hard cheese, extra sharp cheese, actually. And by the time they make it into cheese, there's not much lactose left in there, so I don't worry much about it. And being that I live alone, I bought myself one of those egg pods. I don't know if you ever saw one. It's plastic. It's egg shaped. It has a metal interior, and you can boil 4 eggs at a time in like 9 minutes. Mm. And so I have 4 eggs every morning and ham. So I'm basically having a ham and eggs every morning. I love bacon. About the only time I have that is when I go to my girlfriend's house and she makes me bacon, because I don't like the mess.
Right.
I'm a lazy guy in that respect.
Right.
And,
what else are you eating in a normal day?
I eat a lot of ground beef.
Okay.
And I have a George Foreman grill here, so it depends on me, but sometimes I'll eat anywhere between 2 and 4 cheeseburgers for a last meal of the day. I eat twice a day.
Okay.
And no snacks. I never cheat. Never have any snacks of any kind. And then I wait at least 16 hours before I will eat, since the last meal, from the previous night. So in that way, that's my small contribution to, fasting.
Yeah, that's so good for you, is that getting that 16 hours in. Does all sorts of things for the body. So you mentioned the pies and stuff before, but had you struggled with weight in your life before this, or have you tried any other diets throughout the years?
No, it's just that I ate badly, and things improved. I told you on the telephone that I have a heart arrhythmia. I have atrial fibrillation, and that medicine I'm pretty much going to have to stay on. Cardiologists have said to me, well, you might want to try an ablation. And for people who don't know what an ablation is, it's where they kind of thread a device with a camera on it, up through your arteries, either in your arm or your thigh, up to your heart, and they go into the atrium and they start burning away nerve endings in your heart. And I thought to myself, that seems kind of permanent.
Right. Wow.
So I was getting what they call ectopic beats very often. I used to go to the hospital like every 2 or 3 months, with the skipped heartbeats. And since I'm on the carnivore diet, I don't have them. I just don't have them at all.
Wow.
And it's made me feel calmer, more centered, um, and just I've become a really positive person, and it just does everything for you. It improves your physical health, your emotional and mental health. It's just it's obvious to me now after seeing all these testimonies that it really is true. This is how human beings are meant to eat.
Yes.
And that's why I said I am never going back.
Right. Yeah, it's so true. You're eating naturally, and now I keep having these carnivore epiphanies, but this was my big one after doing carnivore for a while. Was it's like I feel amazing, I feel so much better. But Dr. Barry said this yesterday too. He's like, you actually feel like a natural human of your age should feel. You've just never felt that before, and everyone else you look at, you go to the grocery store, none of them are feeling it either, except for just a small few of us that are eating this proper way. It's interesting what you said about the mood too. Every carnivore I met has said the same thing, and myself included. The mood is just so much better, so much more mellow. And every carnivore I met, they're just the nicest, most pleasant people to talk to and become friends with and be around. And it's so much so that it's very noticeable. It's interesting. I don't know.
My girlfriend told me that she said, Jack, you're almost never Donald Duck anymore. It would be something simple like dropping a toothbrush on the floor or something, and it's like for maybe 2 or 3 seconds. It's if you've ever seen Donald Duck cartoons, he blows up over the smallest thing, and then he feels ashamed of himself for blowing up.
Right. Yep.
That hardly ever happens anymore.
Yeah.
I'm a much more calm person now, and I think that's great,
Yes. Yeah. It's amazing. It's interesting what you said too about your heartbeat and the AFib. I have an irregular heartbeat too. I don't have AFib, although you dropped off for a second, but I think you're back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a phone call coming in from my cousin. I told her we were going to be doing this today. I said, so don't call me. So she just had to call.
See, and look, you didn't Donald Duck it either. You were real nice about it.
Yeah. Well, my cousin is a special case. She has something called let me think. I think it's MSA or something like that. It's a type of brain disorder that's going to gradually get worse, and it's affecting her ability to walk and slurring her speech and so forth. She's just a wonderful person, and she's having a tough go of it. So later on I'll give her a call back and I'll say, hey, I told you I was going to be tied up.
Right. Well, I wish her the best. I hope it goes well. Does she or anyone in your family or friends, are they seeing your results and wanting to try carnivore?
Sadly, no. The closest one I can think of to caring about their health, but not the carnivore diet, would be my daughter, who she runs probably 6 miles a day, and she has one of those Peloton bicycles and so forth. So she's into the cardio thing and all that, but she's pretty much eating a standard American diet and having her green smoothie every morning. And it's like,
Right.
But I'm not one to lecture, especially when it's my own family.
Yeah. Yep.
I've had people say, "Look, I don't want to hear about your diet. You know, just change the subject. I don't want to talk about it." It's, well, okay.
It's funny you say that because you won't believe how many times I've heard that in my own house here. They're like, enough already. We get it. The carnivore. It's always on YouTube. It's on the TV in the living room, or it's on my phone. It's another carnivore video, and it's always talking carnivore. I'm like, yeah, I gotta dial it back a little bit sometimes. But it is hard when you see families suffering, and or like you said with like the smoothie or things like that. Even just strangers where like I'm getting some gas at the gas station and I see them come up with this big like neon yellow drink. I'm like, I'm not judging them, but I'm just in my head. I'm like, that used to be me, and that's not going to go well. Yeah. You're going to have a bunch of inflammation. You're going to be feeling like garbage, and you're going to wonder why. And that's why right there. It's pretty simple in retrospect. But
I hear some carnivores speak about anything to do with carbon dioxide in water. You know, like mineral water or whatever. You know, that somehow the carbon dioxide is supposed to put more oxygen into your system. But you know, I heard this in passing from oh gosh, what is his name? The doctor in Florida. He's originally from South Africa. Do you remember the gentleman's name? Huey's or something like that.
Oh,
something.
Is it? I can't remember it. It starts with a K, I think.
I think it's a CY, but I don't know. But anyhow, I've heard him say in passing about he drinks carbonated water, but he won't give up his coffee. I know that.
Yeah.
But I don't do coffee. I don't do tea because when you have AFib, you know, caffeine is your worst enemy. So I don't do that.
Well, back to the AFib though, that's very interesting. So I have an irregular heartbeat, and they thought I had AFib. I did several, like where you wear the heart monitor for 2 weeks, and a couple times it showed I had AFib, and then the doctor was like, "No, that's actually just a weird reading." But I've always had the arrhythmia and a really weird beat. And I'm going to check it now because I haven't had it checked. And I'm almost wondering, because I heard your story about your heartbeat changing. I've heard other people say it too. And I was watching another YouTube video where one of the doctors was saying it's just science and a fact that when your body is powered in ketosis, you're powering your body, your fuel is fat instead of sugar, your heart performs optimally, way better than it does on sugar. And I wish I knew that too, because all of I mean, not that it necessarily would have convinced me to do carnivore, but all of the cardiologist appointments I've had over the years for my heart issue, I've never heard a cardiologist say that, like, hey, there's one thing you could do, because I've been on and off keto for years, but if you're in keto, your heart actually performs better. It's things like that I wish there would be more studies and science around, because there's probably something to that. I don't has anyone ever told you, like, hey, you got this heart issue? Nutrition, maybe if you're in ketosis, it'll start performing better for you.
I have never had a doctor say anything about nutrition except, you know, well, just eat a balanced diet, and you know, this is what they say, balanced. You know, I don't even know what that means.
Yes, right.
You know,
eat healthier. Do it in moderation. Yeah. That's one of the most frustrating things for me too. I've never had a doctor say it either. And it's so bad when you get down to it, and then they give you a pill that doesn't work, and then I still have this problem for months and years taking this pill that's not working, and the root cause of the problem was just always there, and you never fix it. And then people wonder why healthcare is so expensive and it's through the roof, and you look around, everyone's sickly and they have all sorts of issues and ailments, and they just keep going around like that for years and years.
Well, I like my general practitioner. He's a good guy, but he's still, you know, like whatever he gleaned from nutrition in medical school, which is nil. Doctors don't get much on nutrition at all. And, he's determined he wants to get me on rovastatin, and I just keep saying, I tried it and I felt terrible. I feel fantastic now. Why would I want to take something that made me feel horrible?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. I don't want to take something that makes me feel horrible when I feel fantastic.
Yeah.
This doesn't, that's crazy.
Right.
So, in October, I go back to see him again. He wants me to do another LDL test. And I know my LDL is going to go higher because I'm carnivore.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, he was saying, well, your HDL is low and your triglycerides are high. Well, okay, so then I go carnivore and my HDL starts to come up and my triglycerides dropped 83 points. And so I go in, expecting to hear him say, hey, great job. That's super. You got your HDL up and your triglycerides are down. And my ratio is now, 2.26. And before that, it was 6.4. The lower you go with the ratio, the better. So my ratio is getting really good. But he keeps, I'm looking at that LDL number and it's 226 and it needs to be under 200. We got to put you on a statin. And I'm like, because it's over by 26 points, I don't care. I said, it's only a marker, doctor. Yeah. So I felt like I was trying to impart my wisdom on him.
Right.
Well, okay, I didn't get a medical degree and I don't have my shingle hanging outside my house, but I'm just going by what experts like Dr. Berry and Dr. Baker are saying, and same for Dr. Chafee. As far as I'm concerned, these guys are up to speed. And I'm so glad that they are. And we all need to be up to speed, Carrie.
Yes.
And I was so glad to hear, that your whole family is now on board with this, and apparently you've set a good example for them. And I know I've seen before and after pictures of your daughter Emma, and the difference in her complexion is it's a miracle. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's out there. The proof is all around us.
Mm-hmm. It's so much easier to see now too, probably for you and me. But before, when I was kind of in that fog, it was a little bit harder to see. But yeah, even like Emma, that's how a natural 16-year-old is supposed to look. And the one thing that I've learned too, and that for anyone watching this, is if you ever have a health issue and you go to the doctor and they're like, I don't know, that's just the way it is, I think probably 99% of the time it's probably due to nutrition, because I've heard that so many times. Even for like Emma, if she went to a dermatologist for acne, oh, she's a teenager, that just happens. Well, no, it doesn't. If she's eating this and she doesn't have acne anymore. So it doesn't just happen. It's from the foods that she was eating. It's so many of my health issues were exactly that. It was just nutrition so many times. Like IBS was the big one. I used to just have horrible stomach pains all the time.
Yes.
Try this diet, try that. And well, some people just get it. It's just the way it is for some people. My brother-in-law has this skin condition. His skin is falling off his arm. I said to him, do you think that's normal? He's like, oh, I've had it for years. I was like, why? He's like, oh, it's just a thing. It's just a thing I get. I'm like, that's not normal. And again, I got to stop preaching the carnivore, but I'm like, he'd be on carnivore a few days and that would clear up. He's got inflammation and back pain and stuff. And it's so hard, but put the example out there and hopefully they'll see. That's the hope with the carnivore diet documentary too, is try to reach more people, but not just say, hey, do carnivore, it's great, but here's a whole bunch of examples of different people with different health issues and look at what happened to them over the course of a year. Now you can kind of decide for yourself. But yeah, we definitely need more doctors like Dr. Berry and Dr. Chafee. I'm so happy for them too. One good indicator too is like they're practicing what they preach. I don't know how many of your doctors are. This isn't like fat shaming or anything, but the last doctor I had that was telling me I shouldn't be doing keto, he was like 100 pounds overweight. I'm like, so it's like taking your car to a mechanic and he's got a bunch of broken cars outside the front of the thing. It's like, then you look at Dr. Chafee or Dr. Berry and you're like, they're actually doing this and they look great and they feel great. And then you listen to them talk and you're like, cognition's there. It's like this, it's all common sense in the end. You just got to really look with your own two eyes and take these things in. But it's scary how.
I see a GP, I see a urologist, I see a oncologist / radiologist and a cardiologist. And, and I tell them, hey, I lost, 35 pounds, and I'm fitting back into my old clothes again. And I say, oh yeah, you look great, keep it up, And it's like, I have to admit, Carrie, I haven't had the courage to say, hey, all I eat is meat. I just tell them, hey, I cut out all the junk.
Yep.
At some point, I'm just gonna have to fess up,
Right.
Who knows? Maybe one of them might applaud me for it. I don't know.
Right.
Or chase me out of their office.
one of the two. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I've been careful about that. We had a big family reunion and I used to just tell, they're like, oh, you lost so much weight. What happened? And I would say carnivore. And I guess it depends on my mood, but oftentimes now I'll do kind of what you did. I'll just say, oh, I didn't. It's the truth too. I did an elimination diet and I no longer eat all that garbage I ate before.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I want to tell it to people because sometimes they're genuinely interested and want to learn more. But most of them they still think you're crazy kind of thing. But yeah, it's something. I'm hoping in maybe 15, 20 years from now, we have many, many more doctors like Dr. Berry and Dr. Chafee that at least like Dr. Berry said yesterday, you take your animal into the vet and it's sick. They ask you, what did you feed it? Our doctors should be asking us, what are you eating for so many of our health issues? What's your nutrition? And none of them do. And well, Dr. Chafee was telling me some of them can get in trouble for that because then they'll say, well, you're not a nutritionist, but that's got to change. If 99% of the things I went to the doctor for were nutrition, I didn't know it and the doctor didn't mention it. It's just such a broken system.
Well, I don't see that. I mean, you could use a disclaimer if you wanted to, but I mean, they can't hang you for telling your subscribers that you just eat meat. I mean that would be pretty bad if you couldn't just say, well, I have meat for breakfast and meat for supper or whatever, and that's all I eat, and I feel great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You're just reporting what you do and how you feel. You're not really advocating in that sense. At least that's the way I look.
Right.
The way I look at it, anyhow. But I told you on the phone that I'm really thinking about starting a channel too, and the only reason I would do that is that I could tell more people about myself, and also steer them over to Homestead How, so that they could learn more about the documentary that you're planning. And Carrie, you're going to do it. I know you will.
Oh yeah.
You're definitely a man who, well, when you put your mind to something, you do it, and you make a success. you make it a success. And, that's the kind of metal you're made of. So I just think that the documentary is tremendous. And, you could reach, oh man, so many people that way.
Yeah.
People need to know that they're eating wrong. I've done it for years. The interesting thing is, when I was a kid, I didn't eat sugar much, because I could only eat a little bit of it, and it actually made me feel sick. And if I hadn't been a child at the time, I would have realized that, well, this can't be good for me. If I don't feel good after I eat this, even though it tastes great, there's got to be something wrong with it. And all of this is coming back to me now, like 70 years plus later on.
Right.
But I just I think with a clearer mind and everything. And I don't know if I told you, but I wrote a book, and now I'm starting on a second book, even though I didn't get the first book published yet. But I'm doing a sequel in case I get the first one published, and they say, "Well, do you have anything else?" So, "Oh yeah, I'm starting a sequel," whatever. But I have all of this extra energy, and I want to put it to good use.
That's amazing. You have enough extra energy to write an entire book, and now you're on the second one. Do you mind sharing what the book is about?
It's a fantasy novel. If I had to categorize it, I would say kind of Harry Potter-ish, but I hate to pigeonhole it like that. But it's really it's about a 12-year-old boy and his parents who have to leave what's to be considered a utopia, a wonderful place where nobody ever gets sick. Everyone has perfect DNA, and they live extraordinarily long lives. And of course, and there's a bad guy that they're trying to deal with. And
are they all carnivores?
And they're all carnivores.
You said everyone's healthy. It's a utopia. It sounds like the carnivore future.
And everybody drinks hot water. And after I wrote that, I actually looked it up, and I thought, turns out it's a thing. Drinking hot water is a thing. So it's kind of funny. You start off thinking, well, I'm doing something original here, and it's like, oh, well, it is a thing.
That's so cool. You're writing a book. That sounds really fun. Hey, and then the YouTube video, anything you want to do on YouTube, I am here to help you promote it, whatever. I'm helping Bill right now. And the biggest thing with this type of YouTube, because you've seen some of my older homesteading videos, a lot of those I just went crazy with drone shots and different angles. And when you're talking about like your carnivore story and updates and things like that, this is it right here. It's just a phone, and you can tell your story. That's what I'm telling Bill. I'm like, Bill, you could just do 15 seconds. People just want to hear your story. It doesn't have to be anything fancy or special. But I think, Jack, if you did it, you're going to inspire so many people. I did the video with, I don't know if you saw the one I did with Carnivore Ron. That was some time ago, actually. He was one of the first people on my channel. I think he's 71 or 72, and he's been doing carnivore for 5 years.
Yes.
And he's a really cool guy. And I said the same thing. I was like, Ron, you should do your own YouTube channel. And he's like, I could never do it. I don't want to do it. And then the next day, he was like, I got my video live. I'm like, I've got to go. He's a great guy, just like you. Such a great spirit, lots of energy, and he's just thriving on carnivore in his 70s. But he's inspiring so many people. He was telling me he gets a lot of people, peers of his, people his age, that are convinced and actually start doing carnivore. And actually, it's like giving them a new lease on life now. They're actually starting to live again because there's, well, that was be another question I have for you. So at 78, are there other people, I don't know, friends or in your community that are 78 that you just see? Because everyone fears aging and mobility issues and aches and pains and inflammation. It sounds like you don't have any of that, but you have friends and family and people your age that are, you see them eating that other food and they're having those issues?
The person that's closest to my age is 10 years my junior. We've been friends for, well over 40 years. I don't know how to put this delicately, but my other friends my age, well, they've passed. And these are the people who, didn't do anything about their diet. They smoked, they drank, and it's pretty sad. I had a family member that died last year, and he his lungs had gotten to the point where he had to be on oxygen. He'd wear, the thing under the nose and so forth, and he was still smoking. And but well, tragically, he died in a fire, which probably fell asleep with with the oxygen on and the cigarette burning or something, and that's pretty bad. But most of the people I know my age, they're just not around anymore. My barber passed away. I live in northeastern Pennsylvania, and I spent 7 years in the Midwest in Indiana. And when I came back, I was riding along with a guy he's a mechanic, and I looked on the corner barber shop, and I said, "Oh, I see Frank is retired now, huh?" He says, "Oh, Frank died." So it was just one of those things, but people really, they need to take care of themselves before it's too late. There's always a chance to save yourself. There really is. And if you ignore the warning signs and you just keep going on, well, that's what's going to happen. And always look up and down the street before you cross. That's another that's right. Another good thing to save your life.
Right. Yeah. Wow. So, Jack, if there's other folks in their 70s or 80s, this is the thing that I did that interview with Carnivore Ron, and it was wonderful. And then the number of comments I got from people in their 60s, 70s, 80s just thriving on carnivore, it was really eye-opening to me and made me so happy that someone, in their 70s is like, I've eaten standard American diet my whole life, and now I'm done, and I'm completely switching to carnivore. And a lot of them have been doing it for a couple of years now. Yeah. So it's really something special. But I'm sure there's a ton of people out there that are going to be watching this that are maybe in their 70s, and they're having all of these issues with inflammation and pain and mobility and stuff like that, that they're scared to start carnivore. Do you have any advice for them, or what would you say to them if they're thinking about starting, but they're just too scared to because, well, for all the reasons you were scared and I was scared to start it?
Yes. Well, my fears were for nothing. They really were. They were for nothing, because I realize now that, what I've done has improved my life tremendously. I'm in the best shape of my life now, and now I want to exercise again, which I do, and I just feel fantastic, and people are, they just seem to be caught in a comfortable spot where it's like well, I've got this thing, I've got my routine, and so forth. I was in a supermarket the other day, and I saw a man who was what I would consider morbidly obese. And he was driving a store cart, the thing with there's a like a basket to put food in.
Yep.
The basket had many bottles of caffeinated soda. I won't mention a brand name. I don't need to, but and bags of things like chips, like corn chips, potato chips, things like that, all filled up in the basket. And here's another thing, when I go to the supermarket now, I go to the meat section, and I have to go past the bakery, and I look at this stuff differently now. I look at it as, this stuff might be ingestible, but it's not food. As far as I'm concerned, anything else in the store is not food.
Mm-hmm.
It's something else. I don't know
Waste.
what.
Right.
But it's not food. And you're wasting your money, and you are wasting your life. And as far as I know, we only get one shot at being a human being on this planet. This is the only body God gave us. This is it. So what do you want to do? You want to wreck the only thing that you've got. That's about the only thing we can say that is truly ours is our bodies, our lives. Everything else, well, we traded something for money, but this we got this for nothing. And it doesn't need spare parts as a general rule.
Right.
If we do what we're supposed to be doing, I guess I'm kind of getting on a treadmill here with that, but I mean, we're only going to pass this way once. Let's be as healthy as we can be,
Right. And be present and be present and cognitive to enjoy your life, not just go through it in a fog and you blink your eyes and a couple of years gone by. And yeah,
exactly. So far, I know my own name. I know who's president. I know what the weather is. I know what time it is. All of this. In other words, my brain hasn't turned to mush.
right.
And if I can possibly help it, I'm going to keep it that way for as long as possible.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, 70 is middle-aged.
Yes. Yeah. You're sharper, and this isn't flattery. I'm being sincere. You're sharper than probably most middle-aged people in their 40s, because even myself before Carnivore, I was just in this brain fog and stammering for my words. And you're joyful, and your words are right there, and you're it's sure is something. What you were saying earlier too kind of was one of my more recent carnivore epiphanies. But when you go to the grocery store and you go to the meat section and you pass the bakery, and it's like you're saying, that's not food. It's literally waste I was thinking about this, and not to get on a kind of gross subject, but everyone always asks on Carnivore about going to the bathroom and the number twos, and everyone, oh, you're going to be constipated. No, before I was putting all of that waste in my body, and then all of that waste was going out. And I'd be in the bathroom like once a day. And now I don't have to do that now. I know this is kind of gross, but it's true when you really think about the toll you're putting on your body to ingest waste that you then just goes right out and into the toilet every single day. All just waste. Like, what a waste of time, what a waste of food, what a waste of energy, and then the toll you're putting on your body to process all of that stuff that your body is just like, ooh, I don't want this, and just goes in one and out the other. I don't need any of it. So much waste and so foolish.
Well, yeah, to be a little indelicate, you're just flushing it away.
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, life is good. Life is very good. And, you probably, well, I'm sure you must have seen the photos that I sent.
Yeah.
That lady that you see me standing close to is my girlfriend, and she's kind of more or less keto. She a little bit is rubbed off that way, and she's a beautiful person, outside and in, beautiful complexion and everything, and has always lived a good, clean life, and and that's what it's all about for all of us. We all have to live a good, clean life to extend it. I just for so many reasons, I want to stay alive and healthy because I'm curious. I want to know, I'm a kind of a guy that lives in the now, and it's like, I want to learn something new every day, even if it's a small thing. I want to learn something new, and there's just too many people out there that are, they're just, content to just, sit in the recliner and say, okay, well, what's on TV, and well, maybe during the commercial I'll grab another beer. Yeah.
Right.
I don't condemn people that drink beer, but but I mean, to make it your whole life now,
Right.
There's just more to it. There's more to it.
There sure is.
And that's one of the things I like about your channel is that, you've done some really ingenious things on your homestead. With the wood-fired central heat system and everything. That blew me away. I was amazed at what you did there. With 20 acres, that's a lot of wood.
Yeah. You're reminding me too. I'm falling behind now. I keep telling Emma we got to get out there. We built that big, huge firewood shed, and it's going to take a long time to fill that thing up, and we haven't even started yet. I've been focusing more on the movie theater and carnivore stuff, but yeah, it's sure that really is something. I appreciate that feedback too. That's so nice. I'm looking forward to the Thursday video because yesterday was such a crazy day. I kind of said it in the beginning, but the audio was cut off. I was like, this is an exceptional day for me because I had Dr. Barry on the channel. Right when I got done with that, the girls were knocking on the door in the basement of the theater, and they're like, get up here. There's a line of people out the door because we're playing that movie Sound of Freedom. Yeah. And it's been, people are great. People are just so great. Carnivore people are great and otherwise, but we had over 100 tickets donated for people to watch that movie for free. People paying it forward, coming up to the counter and just saying, here, I want to buy 20 tickets for other people. And so right when the movie started, we had this huge rush. I said, Jen, grab the camera. So it'll be on the next episode next week, but I went right up to the front of this. I never would have done this before Carnivore with the anxiety and stuff, but I walked right up to the front of the stage. The whole movie theater was full of people, and I just made an announcement, and I thanked everyone that was so generous to donate the tickets for other people and to try to get the word out. Everyone was clapping. It was so much fun. And then I went back downstairs and I did another live stream. I had Alex on last night at 7:15. So it's like, maybe that's my last question for you. I can't believe we've already been talking for an hour. That just flew by, but
Wow.
I'm getting so much more done on Carnivore. It's becoming more and more. I'm like, well, I just worked 18 hours yesterday. It just didn't really seem like that much, but are you more productive, I guess, physically and mentally on Carnivore?
Yes, I'm very much so. You know, my little house here is, I call it my Irish cottage because I bought it from a man who came from Ireland, and he kind of like rebuilt it. And my upstairs, it's got 2 small bedrooms up there, and I use that as my attic. So I've got a carpeted attic. So you know, I'm up and down there because I store things up there, and sometimes, you know, different types of tools and things like that, things I need. So I'm up and down the stairs all the time, and you know, I run upstairs. I used to do stairs 2 at a time, but I'm still running up them now, so that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Carrie, it's been a privilege to be on your podcast today, and I was looking forward to it ever since we discussed it, and I just think it's great that you're doing the documentary, and I will do all I can, you know, to help promote this for you, because you know, it's important. It's important to really, on a large scale, it's important to you know, the people of the world. We should all, you know, just eat the right food, which is meat.
Absolutely. I appreciate your words so much. And likewise, since we talked on the phone, I was looking forward to talking to you. And this has been wonderful. I was trying to think of like one word to kind of sum things up, but your wisdom has been wonderful. It's that's one thing I've been teaching my girls, is it's like just gaining a tiny bit more wisdom in life is like one of the most important things we can do, and often overlooked, because your life ends up being a kind of a result of all the decisions you make. And when you get more wisdom, you make better decisions, and everything's kind of better there. But I really appreciate all of your wisdom you shared. I think you're going to inspire a lot of people. When we put this video out, it's going to be something. You're going to have to come back, and I know you'll be watching it, but you're going to have to come back and check the comments. I did that video like 2 weeks ago with Alex from Liverpool. I told him the same thing. He's like, oh, okay. Now that video just went crazy. It's great. Like the numbers are great, but the inspiring comments that come back that are like, Alex, you inspired me, and now I'm starting. And he's such a good guy, but I have a feeling we will have the same result on this video. And 100%, I hope you do a YouTube channel of your own. I will help you promote it. I'll post it on my community tab. And you can even, if you're thinking about it, you want to do a video and you want me to just take a look at it, I'm doing that with Bill too. I'd be more than happy to. But I think there's great. Absolutely. There's a demand for it, and you'll be helping a lot of people out if you do it. So yeah, anything I can do to help you with that. But thank you so much.
You're the video guy. You've got a lot of experience, and you know, I would be foolish to turn down such a great offer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love doing it too. It's just fun. But just to watch Carnivore Ron's channel grow, and now that gentleman Alex I talked about, he's posting regularly now. It's like that's one way we're spreading the word. It's like a little seed here, it grows into a big tree, and another one here, and another one here, and they're popping up everywhere. So that's another way we're going to change things besides this documentary. But I thank you very much for your time, Jack. This has been wonderful. I really appreciate it. And yeah, let's stay in touch. And once you get your YouTube channel up, we could do this again. We could do it on your channel or vice versa, or whatever we want to do. That'd be fun.
That'll be great, Carrie. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye-bye.